परस्मै नारायणायति समर्पयामि.
This is an old mantra, very deep, very powerful, and very much linked to what we are covering in the Gita. I'll go into details of this towards the end of the chapter on Yagna, so I'll skip the meaning right now. So we just finished this topic. We started Nishkaama Karma. We'll finish it and we'll move on to Yagna. Nishkaama Karma. Yeah, without expecting the fruits of action, why should anyone do anything? Very simple. But there is an explanation. It's true, it's difficult to do that. That's because we are always used to Sakama Karma, where scarcity is, we're conditioned to believe that resources are scarce. Even our inner resources are scarce. We depend, we believe many things. We believe we are all separate individuals. We believe we are short of something. We believe our happiness can come only if we get something from outside. Fundamentally, these are our core beliefs. It's kind of reinforced by our cultural conditioning. Well, as you evolve, you'll realize that these fundamental beliefs are not true. But until then, that's why we think that Nishkaama Karma is not practical. But that firm faith on scarcity slowly gives way as we quench our lower needs, and these are deficiency needs. And unfortunately, we are kind of brainwashed into moving in this direction. That's the path of prayers. And we need help. We need someone to tell us, look, for really finding happiness, for overcoming sorrow, for finding meaning in life. Continuing in the same old way is not going to get us anywhere. We need a correction, and that is the path of the Shreyas. Then we start beginning to discover what's been said in our ancient scriptures for long, that basically we are already complete. It's a discovery that we have abundance. And once we taste abundance, abundance doesn't really mean your bank balance has to be large. Your bank balance can be huge, but you can still feel poor. It's an attitude that you kind of tune into. And Dr. Wayne Dwyer said this very nicely. Abundance is not something we acquire. It is something we tune into. It's really a frequency you tune into. But you can tune into it only if you at least temporarily let go of this belief in scarcity. When you tune into it, you'll find that Nishkaama Karma is effortlessly realizable. You don't have to do Nishkaama Karma. Nishkaama Karma is done through your instrumentality. And the other way, the Sakama Karma, the default way, is where we all start. No question about that, but that slowly gives way to this, at least in many domains where you are self-actualized. And the abundance you feel in the physical realm, in the vital realm, it manifests as abundance in energy, boundless energy and capacity and power. That's why such people are blooming with energy. They are not short of energy. They are not easily tired because they are driven by a higher vision. Mental abundance, the confidence that you can get to know whatever you want to know. Somehow it will come to you. it seems a naive belief for people who are here. Say, well, how can you do that? Stupid fellow, not practical. So it's a confidence which comes from an inner connection and spiritual abundance. This is what the Gita promises. But there are a lot of warnings. They say that even wise people fall. We are all vulnerable, and so we need help. And if you remember that line, Yukta Asita Matparaha, that's where Krishna tells Arjuna that don't worry, you're not alone. The divine wants to help you discover your potential, and so that guidance is always available. So page 101. Deficiency needs are certainly not to be ignored. Underline that. There's no shortcut. You have to quench your basic needs. Those who do so in the name of spirituality often end up needing to satisfy basic needs in covert or perverted ways. In the ancient chakra theory, it is well recognized that the lower three chakras need to be first mastered adequately before the higher chakras, the domain of spirituality at work, can be easily accessed. A strong aspiration to go beyond the lower nature's entrapment, it's like finding an escape velocity to get out of the gravitational field of the lower nature, which binds everybody, can surely provide much motivation to enable this. So that's a key, the aspiration, the motivation. Yet this needs to be combined with a growing ability to reject unnecessary desires. For this, nurturing a clear discrimination between need and greed is very helpful. So in the hostel, for example, where you really see the gravitational field capturing you easily. We are easily affected by what's going on around us. Entire society is affected by that. So if the society is evolved, it's a good thing. If the society is not evolved, we are still caught in tamas and rajas, you have to be careful. You have to protect yourself, and that needs wisdom. It's no use blaming anybody or anything, but for your own sake and for the well-being of all, you need to correct yourself. The ability to sit firmly intent on the Supreme Divine, Yukta Asita Matparaha, is a powerful means not only as meditative practice to get into the Yukta condition, but also for crossing over one's deficiency needs.
Ananyāścintayanto mam ye janah paryupāsate tesham nityabhiyuktānam yogakshemam vahamyaham.
It's a very important verse. It's a kind of a guarantee of what is assured to you if you are sincere and you walk the path. For those persons who worship me is a broad term which the Gita frequently uses. You can choose me as either the impersonal divine, or you can choose me as the personal divine. Your choice. It's a divine source telling you directly. For those persons who worship me, mam ye janah paryupasate, with no other object in their thoughts, ananya chintayantaha. For them who are steadfast in devotion, tesham nitya abhiyuktanam, I provide for their safety and welfare. That's a guarantee. Yogakshemam vahami aham. There's an insurance company which has hijacked this term. Do you know which one? LIC. LIC has made it their motto. Yogakshemam vahamyaham. So these are key words. Ananyas chintayanto mam yogakshemam vahamyaham. This is This calls for sheer faith. And this is what gives you that inner confidence. This is the secret to abundance. That abundance is there. Though your current conditions may not reflect the abundance, it is there. It is there hidden. It is something that you need to tune into. Once you've tuned into that, you're guided and you're taken care of. So much of the scarcity belief, the worries, the pangs, the anxieties, the jealousies, the envies we feel when we compare with others, all that evaporates. You're taken care of. It's a solid guarantee. Here is a wonderful assurance, a guarantee given by the Purushottama to the sincere devotee. This does not absolve us from doing our bit to take care of our deficiency needs, but we need not be obsessed and worried about them. If our aspiration and faith are very strong, we can be certain that our deficiency needs will be adequately met with. The words Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham convey unequivocally, without any ambivalence, this assurance. It covers not only the acquisition of whatever is required for our basic needs, but also their maintenance and safety. With such faith, we get liberated from our obsession for the fruit of our actions, for we are no longer worried about the outcome. We leave the fruit to the divine. So unless you take help from all this, Nishkaama Karma will remain a dream, but it becomes a reality. Remember this? You've seen this movie? What's the movie? 3 Idiots, right? So they, the character played by Amir Khan is fantastic. You can watch it once more, the movie. From the Gita point of view, watch this movie once more. And look at this character played by Amir Khan. You see all the qualities of a Karmayoga in there, quietly reflected. What tremendous presence of mind. So many challenging situations are there. He remains in equanimity, have you noticed? And he does the right thing at the right time. He's got the skill of a sthita prajna, the calmness of a sthita prajna. And he's also mischievous, so he's a bit like Krishna. He likes to play the fool, but he's well-meaning. And he does things to perfection. And he doesn't want anything. Look at the best part of it. He does everything quietly. He does Nishkaama Karma. So, in a very profound way, you can see that this belief, all is well. I think he makes fun of his professor and he imitates the accent. All is well. Well, that all is well is the secret to abundance. It's a secret to Nishkaama Karma. The belief, the firm belief that even though things are going apparently haywire, that things are chaotic, everything is perfectly unfolding exactly the way it is meant to. Because sometimes you have to go down to come up. And so not to get worried. It's an unconditional optimism and faith. When we were kids, we've heard lots of these stories. I don't know if you've heard the story. Once upon a time, there was a king and a minister. And the minister used to always say this, whatever happens, happens for the good. One of those Amar Chitra Katha kind of stories. All is well. So the king could never understand this minister, but he could always see the minister was happy. Whatever happened, he would mutter this to himself. Everything happens for the good. So the king couldn't understand the minister, but he knew the minister could be trusted. So once they went on a hunting expedition, and I think something happened and the king fell off his horse and cut his finger or something. or hurt himself. And at that moment, the minister said the wrong thing. He said, everything is for good. The minister was bleeding, and he lost his cool. He became angry. And he said, what kind of a minister are you? You are saying this is for good? And in the heat of the moment, he got him arrested and put in jail. When he announced his verdict, at that time again the minister says, everything is for good. I mean, my going to jail is also for good. So he gets jailed. Then this guy is looking for another minister. He gets a crooked minister without knowing. And next time he goes on the hunting expedition, and he's got this injury, but in spite of that he's going. They get captured by some tribals. And they find out this guy is a king. They said, wonderful thing to sacrifice, human sacrifice to our deity. So the guy is about to be killed. At that time, the big chief notices that his hand is injured. He said, we can't offer this, this injured human specimen as a sacrifice. Then they look, the other minister is quite in good shape. He said, we'll use this guy, though he's just a minister. So he gets killed. Then the king recalls his first minister's statement. All that happens is for the good. He's very happy. So he goes and frees his earlier minister. And the minister says, again he says the same thing. Everything is fine, all is well. So the king says, okay, I understand this, but tell me, why did you say, that's a joke, why did you say when I arrested you that all is well? He said, there's a reason for that. If I had not gone to jail, today I'd be hanged by those tribals. So you got somebody else to take my place. This is just a kind of a fairy tale story. But the message it conveys, both for children and for adults, is that this is not some silly, naive belief. It's true. It's true. It's how everything is divine will unfolding in its own way, and necessarily we have to go through difficulty. If everything is fated, that's what you're trying to say, why should we do anything? But I didn't say everything is fated. So this fatalist thing is did we discuss fatalism in the earlier class? We're not saying that. This is a good thing to say after the event, not before. No, just because it's true. Don't say, look, tomorrow I've got a quiz to attend. Anyway, the result is everything is for good. Why the hell should I study? Do you understand? The Gita never says that. We are just trying to tell you that, have you not met people like this, who are always calm, always cool, always smiling, always optimistic? Have you? Are they fools? That's all we are saying. They do their share of work. They don't shirk work. But they leave the result to the divine. And whatever be the outcome, it's okay. Now let's say the story turned the other way. Let's say this guy is actually killed. At the moment of getting killed, how many of us can say, all is well? This guy would have been able to say. That's the supreme secret. That's very few people have that ability. A sthita prajna will have that ability. But there's a deeper reason for this. What are the factors that govern any action? Can you tell me? Any outcome? Any outcome? Huh? Let's say you go for an interview. Both of you go. And you know you're way superior to her in terms of marks and knowledge. But you don't get the job, she gets a job. You will be upset, no, unless you are Amir Khan in Three Idiots. And you will blame. That's default normal response for all of us. Right? And you might be tempted to think that she did some goodal. She either bribed or had contacts which and if someone hints at that suggestion, you will jump at it and then WhatsApp, Facebook, whatever. But the underlying assumption which we are sure of is, I know A, I should have got it, B, she is responsible, or the guys who did the interview are responsible, or somebody is responsible, yes or no? But that's a very limited perspective coming from our conditioning. We don't know the big picture. And that big picture is too vast for our ability to understand. But the deeper source in us actually knows the big picture. And we have not bothered to access that deeper source. We are limiting ourselves with our rational intellect, which asks questions like this, with its conditioning. So here you realize that the world is much bigger than what you think it is. It's like the 6 blind men and the elephant. We obstinately cling to our limited point of view and take it to be the truth. Not necessary. That's the next topic. The need to win and its fallout. The outcome of any human action is a resultant that depends on a large number of inputs. In physics we say the resultant force is the sum of all the vectors. And you better make sure you get all the vectors, otherwise they won't add up to the value that you got. Sadly, we often tend to disregard the fact that there are indeed a large number of factors involved, many of which we are unaware. The individual has a primary role in contributing to the outcome, but the result also depends on several other factors that lie beyond the individual's control and knowledge. Moreover, it is ignorance that leads us to a notion of doership of action, kartritva bhava. We'll come to this topic later. In Sri Aurobindo's words, the ego is the ostensible doer, but the ego and its will are creations and instruments of nature with which the ignorant understanding wrongly identifies ourselves, and they are not only the only determinants even of human action, much less of its turn and consequence. So gradually, and I think the 10th chapter and the 11th chapter, we'll see how everything is the doing of Prakriti. Okay, and we are one aspect of Prakriti. Everything is subject to the play of the gunas. If you take the human body itself, the maintenance of the body, the health of the body depends on the health of every cell. Everything is interconnected. But you can't ascribe some illness to the malfunctioning of one part alone. Many illnesses are psychosomatic. When you are not well mentally, you are more vulnerable physically. So there's a huge interaction going on at all levels, and to pinpoint and say because of you is actually foolishness. It's stupidity. We are not saying everything is fated. There are still laws of probability happening, but we don't have the big picture. In all humility we say, I don't know. Jesus said this when he was crucified. In fact, that's a fantastic line in the Bible. My Lord, why hast thou forsaken me? He had the courage to say it. He said, this should never have happened to me. I didn't do any wrong. And then he gets an insight, and the next line he says is, what does he say? Not my will, but thine be done. That thy will is the cosmic resultant for whatever purpose. We can rationalize, but things are happening in their own mysterious way. When we are able to rise above this ignorant way of living, we observe that no action is governed by anything or any person operating in isolation. The Gita suggests our right is limited to the performance of the action entrusted to us, and our duty lies in performing it to the best of our ability. That you underline. Okay, so you have to read everything together. If you read things in isolation and out of context, you won't get it. So after having said that, we are saying this. So that, don't lose that, don't lose the continuity. The fruit is not in our hands and does not belong to us. It is for this reason that we do not have a right to the fruit. Okay, so here's a famous poem by Chuang-Tzu. Chuang-Tzu was the disciple of Lao Tzu, the founder of Taoism. It's a beautiful verse. So it's the story of an archer. When an archer shoots for nothing, he has all his skill. If he shoots for a brass buckle, small thing, a buckle, he is already nervous. If he shoots for a prize of gold, want some hot package placement, he goes blind, right? You become nervous. His skill has not changed, but the prize divides him. He thinks more of winning than of shooting. And the need to win drains him of power. Sakama karma is treacherous. But earlier he was doing it for fun, you understand? And he was very skilled, he'll hit the bullseye. So even a very skilled person gets distracted, disturbed by the need to win. There are lots of things that we don't enjoy doing, but we have to do them. I'll tell you the secret. Secret is to find things that you enjoy doing. If there are 10 things you have to do, and you enjoy doing at least 6 of them, then you want, in that joy, your heart is expanded, you will easily do the remaining 4. That's the secret. You understand? There are many things that are thrust on us we don't want to do. But there are things that we are born to do. And if we do those things and we really enjoy our life, like this guy shooting, then we can handle those other things much easier. That's the power of love. When you're in love, you can handle lots of small issues which otherwise would make you upset very easily. The problem for most of us is we have 10 things to do and we don't like doing 9 of them. Or even all 10 of them. Then life is hard. Do you understand? That's because we are in the wrong place. We are not doing our swadharma. We have not got in touch with our swabhava. But the other thing is for sure, nobody gets to do all 10 things that you love. Nobody. Not even one person in this world. But then 6 is a good score. 6 or 7. So don't crib. You won't crib actually. When you're really enjoying everything. Let's say you got a meal. Oh, this is fantastic. This is fantastic. Not so good, but you won't say anything because you're really the momentum of the goodness and the joy and the ananda takes you to such a level that you easily overlook things that weren't all that great. Got it? And you've seen that it's happened to all of us. When we are in a good mood, that's what happens. Nobody can stop us. We are great. We don't crib. But those who cribbed can't stop cribbing. So you have to decide which end of the spectrum you are operating in. See, first of all, you must be very kind to yourself, apart from being kind to others. At that stage in my life, at that point, with whatever little knowledge I had, that was the best that I could do. Right? Now in hindsight, that was not the right thing to do because I missed out on these things. I perhaps could not have done that. You should write it off. I would write it off. I would like people to do their best with the firm belief that what they are doing is right. And later you come to know maybe that was not right, I should have done something else. That's okay. You're forgiven. So there's no, the conviction that you're doing something If you had a doubt at that stage, then you should have paused. Then you should have, inquired, taken guidance and done. But at that stage, you were very clear what you needed to do. Do it to the best of your ability. That's the way to move on. Don't waste your time regretting. If you are waiting to be enlightened before you do something, you'll never do anything. You'll never be able to do anything. But it's a journey. You work with what you have. Otherwise, time goes by and you'll miss doing what you need to do. It's always like that. Life is always a gamble. You have to act decisively. But you do that with whatever resources and judgment you have at that point in time. That's all you can do. Do your best. Clear? Any more questions? What is your goal? In the Gita, what is our goal? Our goal is not to quench our deficiency needs. Our goal is self-actualization and self-realization. If you're clear about that, many of your questions will be answered. But if your goal is, you're pointing in the path of prayers, and you want that, the Gita is not there, you better read some other management book. You understand? This is our goal, and our eyes are clearly there. You can't go wrong. But how many of us are looking there? How many of us know that that's the evolutionary journey from asat to sat, from tamas to jyoti, from mrityu to amritam? How many of us realize that we get upset only because we are not seeing the big picture? We are going the wrong way. We don't have the humility to admit that we are not yukta. Our goal is to be nitya yukta, to be connected, to be soul-centered, to be guided. If that is your goal, then there's so much clarity in what you need to do. But if your goal is moving horizontally on the path of prayers, then you're lost. I think if you are very clear in this, many of the answers will come on their own. You don't need to ask anyone. Okay, we'll move on. In other instances when we hanker for a certain outcome, but the outcome happens in a way contrary to our expectation, we can get into reactions of anger, hatred and revenge, rajas, or get into depression and grief, tamas. These tend to alter our attitude to work. We keep mulling over our misfortune, finding people to blame. This takes away our ability to concentrate upon and enjoy our work. There are so many instances of this. Let's take even an institution, an academic institution like this. There are people who really worked in a dedicated way. And then there's time for promotions. And everybody has some expectation. And you're sure you're going to be promoted. Every day you come and you work diligently. You look forward to coming to your seat and discussing with your students or whatever, doing your projects. But unfortunately, for whatever reason, you didn't make it. The question is, and this is a deep question, next day, would you look forward to coming to your office and sitting there with the same motivation, the same energy as you did earlier? Very difficult for most people. Yes or no? So, unless you are a believer of all is well, unless you have tremendous faith, and you say, I don't know. If someone says, and they try to, really sympathize with you, commiserate with you, what happened, yaar? I don't know, it's okay, I missed it, let's move on. That's what we are talking about. Do you understand? That's the aim of this. It's not that you don't do your best for the interview or whatever, but your happiness is not going to be dictated by all that. You've got an inner source. You've got an abundance. You've got access to something which nobody can take away from you. That's what we're talking about. That's the fountainhead. The motivation to work for the organization gets lost in general, and there is a tendency to slide towards inaction or to rebel and perhaps indulge in counterproductive work. Instead of scoring the goal on the other side, you do self-goal. When there are several disgruntled individuals like this in an organization, almost all organizations are like this, competing with one another, they begin to indulge in activities that make them fail as a group. Here's a quote from the Arbinger Institute. People who came together to help an organization succeed actually end up delighting in each other's failures and resenting each other's successes. It's a pretty strong statement, but you'll find that it's probably applicable to many situations. But that's not Karma Yoga. Clearly, this is an unhealthy approach to work in any organization. It reflects a complete absence of spirituality at work due to the fallout of an obsession with the fruit of action. Okay, so